Welcome to another episode of Barkman Saturdays, and this week I decided to take a look at Lionelville, Destination Adventure. All aboard Lionel's first ever family feature, and they'll last. Despite this film coming out in 2009 and promising a sequel because it ends on a to-be-continued screen, it never happened. They never made that sequel. In fact, they've left room for probably multiple sequels, but none of those happened either. I guess we're just going to have to live with the disappointment that this is a first parter to a multi-part behemoth that we never got. I can only assume that, Lionel just did not make enough money off of it. Yeah, I know, the southern accent was terrible, but let's just move on. But yeah, this film came out in 2009 and ends on a to-be-continued screen, which is a really massive elephant, when it comes to watching this film. Because this film is an hour-long setup movie, effectively. It's a plot threads that will never be resolved, unless someone's actually put out the script, for the follow-up movie or movies, to tell people where the story was ultimately going to go. And I haven't looked up to see if that exists, and I'm not particularly interested in looking up to see if it exists, because if they couldn't be bothered, to put it together, just for the sake of completing it, even if they just tried to condense it down to one sequel movie, I'm going to assume, it just probably wasn't going to be that good anyway. If they couldn't give Vince Lionel, just give us enough money to finish a sequel movie that just closes the story, just brings the story to a close. And they're like, no, because this didn't sell very well at all, because everyone recognized it for what obviously was an advertising vehicle, that's effectively an hour-long ad for Lionel trains. And it's hard to deny that, considering, we're going to Lionelville, a world comprised of Lionel model train sets. You got your frontier world, you got your city that never sleeps, you got your Arctic world, you got your lumber camp, and so on and so forth. So, you got a lot of different model trains floating around, with them, some of the people in the movie calling out, them by name, like, look, it's that train, or that train that Lionel sells. So, yeah, I can understand why people would be annoyed with the film for that, but then there's also the technological MacGuffin at the heart of the story, which is a circuit board that can provide unlimited power, for Emperor Palpatine. And I honestly have no idea why they thought that was a good, technological MacGuffin to throw in there. It's like, it's a circuit board that runs on quantum and can generate electricity, an endless amount of electricity, so we can get rid of all that nuclear and, power and coal and all that stuff. We're going to replace it all with this circuit board technology I just came up with. But that's not how circuit boards work. Like screw you, they work that way in this movie. So it's a technobabble involving quantum. So yeah, like Star Trek, when they start talking about subspatial torque and all kinds of other weird stuff. They're like, we gotta make it sound science fiction-y, so let's take two words and combine them together, even if they make no sense. Like universal osmosis, just do stuff like that. That's how it feels when they start talking about this circuit board in this movie. If you look past all the ads and the technological MacGuffin circuit board that is absolute bullshit, considering it can rip holes in the space-time continuum, if people hit it the wrong way. It's not bad. They do a decent job setting up plot threads that I wish I knew the answers to somewhat, but not enough to go digging through the internet looking for scripts that may not exist. If someone knows where they're at, feel free to tell me, and maybe I could bother to look at them somewhat. Otherwise, I'm just going to assume they're not out there, so there's nothing to really look for anyway. So yeah, I'd honestly just give this one a pass, because, it's just a setup movie. And since you're never going to get answers to, any of the hanging plot threads, why bother at all? It's worse than some of the other movies I've talked about, because at least they're finished. If anything, this movie makes me think of fan projects with RPG Maker, where a lot of people will start projects but then never finish them because they get overly ambitious. And people that are any good with RPG Maker rarely make fan games because they'd rather work on their own projects, to try and give themselves an identity rather than, as the guy that makes that fan game. So yeah, it feels a lot like one of those. It's just an unfinished behemoth, just waiting to be finished. But Lionel doesn't want to do it because, like I said, this part did not sell well enough. because it's effectively, like I said, an hour-long ad, outside of the plot stuff that's happening. And even when plot stuff is happening, the characters will still go out of their way to point to various characters and be like, oh, look at that Lionel toy, or look at that Lionel accessory. I definitely want to see those. So, yeah, that probably hurt the movie as well. So, yeah. Till next time, then. See ya.
Oh, I can't wait to check out the Arctic Circle Express. It has the coolest sled dogs.
Well, I wouldn't mind paying a visit to the Union Pacific train barn. They got a great old big boy up there. My word, that's Greta Gabor. Oh, must be on her way to Hollywood.
There go our doughboys, off to France for World War I.